I spoke with the director of Dark Phoenix, Simon Kinberg. He described this movie as the culmination of 20 years of X-Men movies. I'm curious from your perspective, how do the X-Men movies kind of add up to this?
I think, really the core to the X-Men are these characters and the core thematics. And, to me, part of what I loved about tackling Dark Phoenix, apart from the fact it was, a more single character focused story, and usually these are much more even-handed ensembles, is that it brings to a head or to some measure of resolution a core conflict between Charles and Eric that's been simmering from movie one. And I love the degree to which Simon chose to explore Charles's flaws and the challenges he faces as a leader, as any leader does or any parent does, with confronting their mistakes and putting, giving James that opportunity to play that material, getting to see that explored on screen. I think that's symptomatic of the degree to which you're seeing certain emotional ideas and certain conflicts, core conflicts, get at least advanced, if not finally resolved.
Yeah, that dynamic between, and the actors are great too, but the Eric and Charles dynamic, you can't
Fantastic.
beat that. It's so good.
And I love the final scene between them. There's something just so elegant and, poignant about seeing the two of them playing chess and sort of one more game, it's great.
It kind of calls back to an earlier film, which was awesome. There's an added element of, I'd say, unique and gritty violence that we haven't seen in Marvel movies, and also some language, which we have seen in some X-Men movies. How did you guys pull it off? Did you guys have to push for that? Why was it important to add that in?
I'm glad you picked up on that because, one of the things we wanted to do in that final sequence was to really unleash all the characters and, take the governors off of each of the X-Men, both in getting to see them fight together, which is something that was, we really hadn't done a lot of, and leaning into that was great fun. But then, giving each one of them, their kind of berserker moments where you get to see them really become, ragers. And, getting to see Storm unleashed is incredibly gratifying to me, or, Nightcrawler to start to transition into some of the qualities we recognize from X-Men 2, the viciousness, the intensity. One of my favorites is Michael. We designed the action sequence around Michael as if he were a martial artist. So instead of it being just simply manipulating metal and tossing things around, which obviously we've seen him do, that last sequence, it's mimicking what it might be as a martial art fight.
Yeah.
And that was great fun.
Did you guys ever consider maybe pushing it to an R rating? Was that ever a conversation? Because we've seen success.
Not really. I mean, we would have. I mean, I don't think it wouldn't have been something we were shy about. We try to, not unlike with Logan, we try to let the story dictate the rating. So to really decide what story we're telling, how do we best tell it, and then what rating would that require. And in this case, it really is more about the emotion than it was about the violence or about, sex or about any of the things that would have likely pushed it to R. It felt comfortable. I mean, it's still a fairly dark story, but it felt pretty comfortable within this rating range.